In the heart of a bustling city, Lila, a young homeless girl with hope in her eyes, cautiously approached a seemingly kind stranger for assistance. Clad in worn-out clothes and a faint smile, she extended her hand towards the man, expecting nothing more than a small act of generosity. But the reaction of the stranger, a well-dressed gentleman, was unexpected and intense. Lila stood bewildered and scared as the man fumbled for his phone, his voice quivering, uttering words that left her in a state of disbelief. The next words the well-dressed man uttered left Lila in a state of near complete shock. He had just called somebody on the phone, and with his voice still shaking, he told the person on the other end of the line, "I found her." Lila had no idea who this man was or who he was talking to, but these words made her realize one simple thing, that she needed to run for her life. Now. Lila turned around and bolted away as quickly as she could. She hoped that this sudden action would deter the man from coming after her, or, at the very least, she could gain some distance from him if he was slow to react. But the man did not waste much time when Lila ran away, and was quickly in hot pursuit of the young homeless girl. With the phone still held to his ear, he was screaming for people to help him stop Lila. Luckily for her, there were not many people around at that time able to hear and heed his pleas. But Lila still needed to shake off the man himself, and he seemed very determined to get a hold of her. Lila had no idea what he wanted to do with her, but she got more scared by the second. Lila looked around and figured that she knew this part of the town a lot better than Mr. Nice Shirt behind her. This was a very low-income neighborhood with a lot of homeless people. This guy did not look like he belonged here at all, and Lila hoped she could use that to her advantage. She dashed into an alleyway and started taking turn after turn, hoping to get away, and it was looking like her plan was successful. Pretty soon she stopped hearing the pleas of the man, and she did not see him chasing after her anymore. She had been able to shake him off for now, but she was pretty sure that he was not going to just give up that easily. She needed a place to hide, and fast. Also, because Lila would soon figure out that she was not only running from Mr. Nice Shirt. When Lila popped her head out of one of the alleyways and looked into the street, she was very surprised to see that there were suddenly a lot of police officers around, seemingly talking to anybody and everybody. Lila could not help but get the feeling that they were looking for her. The man chasing her must have called in the police to help him find her, but Lila just could not understand why. She was sure she had never seen this guy, so how did he recognize her? She did not even have an online presence where he might have seen her before. Maybe it was a case of mistaken identity. And when she explained this to the police, maybe everything would just go away. But she could not take that risk. The last thing she wanted right now was to be picked off the street by officers. She feared she would end up in a jail cell or something. Maybe Mr. Nice Shirt was the owner of a store from which she had stolen something before. She never took much, just enough to get by when she had not been able to collect enough money. But why would there be such a big police force mobilized for petty crime? It just made no sense. Lila quickly disappeared back into the alleyway before any of the officers saw her. The only possible hiding place she could think of on the fly was in the nearby park. She would often sleep there as well. A young homeless girl like her was always at risk, especially at night, and so she had found very well-hidden sleeping places in the vegetation. If those could keep her safe from creeps, it could also hide her from the police. She quickly checked a couple of dumpsters and managed to find an old discarded hood, size XL. She dusted it off a bit and pulled it over her head. She hoped that this would not have the police of the man instantly recognize her as she made her way to the park. It was a short but tense walk. Luckily, Lila made it all the way to her sleeping place without being spotted. In the park's embrace, Lila melded with the shadows, her presence unknown to the world beyond. The dense foliage was her cloak, allowing her to watch life unfold without revealing herself. This secluded spot, amidst nature's whispers, became her sanctuary, a place where she could be invisible, yet infinitely aware of the bustling city that lay just beyond her green veil. Lila's heart still raced from her recent escape, the adrenaline mingling with a strange sense of calm as she sat hidden among the leaves. Here, time seemed to flow differently, each second elongated by the rush of her flight and the subsequent stillness. The rustle of the leaves above seemed to speak to her, offering solace and a momentary pause from the chaos of her life on the streets. As night descended, the park transformed. The darkness was not a threat, but a protector, shrouding Lila in its safe, invisible cloak. She drew deep breaths, the cool air soothing her frayed nerves. Hidden in the darkness, she found a momentary peace, a chance to collect her thoughts, and steel herself for whatever challenges lay ahead. Lila's mind raced with questions about the man in the nice shirt. Why had he reacted so violently to her simple request for help? His words, "I found her," echoed in her mind, a haunting refrain without context. Who was he? And why was he looking for her? The uncertainty of it all gnawed at her, leaving her more unsettled than ever. From her hidden spot, Lila listened to the city's distant murmurs. Conversations floated through the air, fragments of lives passing by unknowingly. She strained to catch any mention of herself or the man who had chased her, hoping to piece together the puzzle of her current predicament from the snatches of dialogue that drifted to her in the cool night air. With the first light piercing through the foliage, Lila emerged, a new determination fueling her steps. The fear from her midnight chase had solidified into resolve. She knew she couldn't keep running forever. Finding the truth behind the man's urgent declaration was the only way to reclaim her peace. So, with cautious steps, she left her sanctuary behind, venturing into the city's waking streets, her mind set on uncovering the mystery of her past. Eek. The cafe's dim light and the low hum of computers offered Lila a semblance of anonymity. She settled into a corner, her fingers hesitantly dancing over the keyboard. She began her search with a mix of hope and trepidation, looking for any police report that might shed light on her identity or explain why she was being pursued. Each click brought her closer to the answers she desperately sought. Her heart skipped as she stumbled upon a report with her name. The screen blurred as a mix of fear and curiosity washed over her. There it was, in black and white, a part of her life she had no memory of, now public for all to see. The discovery sent a chill down her spine. Someone had been looking for her, but why? The question echoed in her mind, demanding answers she wasn't sure she was ready for. The photo on the screen seemed to reach out from a life Lila hardly recognized as her own. It was her. Yet the eyes that stared back held stories she couldn't recall, a past she had unknowingly left behind. The reality of her existence, once so simple, now seemed like a puzzle with missing pieces. Who was she, really? And what had led her to this moment of solitude and search? Realizing the depth of her mystery, Lila felt the weight of her unknown past pressing in. Her name in a police report signified more than just a search. It was a link to a life she couldn't remember, filled with questions that now demanded answers. The implications of her past being intertwined with a public search sent her thoughts spiraling, each one a thread in the complex tapestry of her existence. Staring at the police report, Lila felt the past she had buried claw its way to the surface. Her name, linked to a history she had tried to forget, now stared back at her, undeniable and demanding attention. This moment of recognition forced her to confront the fact that her past was not just a series of forgotten events, but a lived reality that was catching up to her. The encounter with Mr. Niceshirt now took on a new dimension. Could he be a link to the life Lila had desperately tried to escape? The possibility that he represented a bridge to her past filled her with a mix of fear and curiosity. Was he searching for her because of who she once was? The thought sent shivers down her spine as she pondered the connections she had thought severed. The idea of facing her past, potentially filled with neglect and abuse, terrified Lila. Yet there was a fire of determination within her, stoked by the desire to never return to that life. She knew that forging a new path would require confronting the ghosts of her past. But the fear of what she might find held her back. The thought of a homecoming to a place of sorrow was almost too much to bear. Lila found herself at a crossroads, torn between the urge to uncover the truths of her past and the instinct to keep running from it. Delving deeper meant facing possibly painful revelations, but it also offered the promise of clarity. The decision weighed heavily on her, a constant battle between the need for understanding and the fear of what that understanding might bring. Armed with the knowledge that she was the subject of a missing person report, Lila felt the weight of her history more acutely than ever. This information was both a key and a burden, offering clues to her identity but also presenting a daunting task to piece together the fragments of her past into a coherent whole. With each piece she found, the complexity of her situation grew, challenging her resolve and her heart. Seeking solace and strength, Lila turned to her street family, the only people she trusted. She shared her findings, her fears, and the looming shadow of Mr. Niceshirt. Their response was immediate and unwavering support, a testament to the bonds formed not by blood but by shared struggles. In their midst, she found a semblance of safety and a glimmer of hope. Huddled in a dimly lit corner of their usual gathering spot, Lila and her companions laid out a daring plan. They would approach the police, weaving a web of half-truths to glean information about the forces marshaled against her. It was a high-stakes ploy, fraught with risk, but desperation lent them courage. Together, they plotted each step, knowing the precariousness of their endeavor. The day stretched endlessly as Lila awaited the return of her friends. Each minute was laden with tension, a tightrope walk of hope and dread. The uncertainty gnawed at her, a constant companion, as she pondered the myriad outcomes of their plan. Her thoughts swirled, fixated on the mysterious Mr. Niceshirt and the secrets he held. The weight of anticipation was a heavy cloak, suffocating yet impossible to shed. With a mix of bravery and desperation, Lila's friends ventured into the lion's den, their loyalty driving them to face potential peril. Their plan was a risky gambit, a dance on the edge of danger, aimed at piercing the veil of secrecy surrounding Lila's situation. They moved with caution, each step a calculated risk, their resolve a testament to their bond with Lila. The return of her friends was a moment fraught with emotion. They brought with them a tangled skein of information, threads of relief interwoven with strands of alarm. The search for Lila was more complicated than they had imagined, the stakes higher. While some fears were allayed, new anxieties surfaced, painting a complex picture of the forces aligned against her. The news was a mixed blessing, offering clarity but also deepening the mystery. The revelation that wealthy individuals were also searching for her added a bewildering twist to Layla's saga. The knowledge that her name had somehow crossed the invisible lines of society to attract the attention of the affluent deepened the mystery surrounding her. Why would people, so far removed from her world of survival and shadows, be interested in a homeless girl like her? The description of one of the inquirers strikingly matched that of Mr. Nice Shirt, intertwining their fates further. This connection illuminated a part of the puzzle, suggesting that his pursuit was not random, but a part of a larger, more intricate web of interest in her. It was a revelation that sent a chill down her spine, hinting at complexities she had yet to understand. A day passed in a haze of contemplation for Lila, her mind a whirlwind of speculations and fears. She pondered the reasons behind her sudden importance to strangers with power and wealth. What could they possibly want from her? Her thoughts spiraled, each more unsettling than the last, as she tried to piece together the fragments of her life into a coherent narrative. The realization that individuals from a sphere of life she had never touched were seeking her left Lila feeling more alone than ever. This gap between her world and theirs seemed insurmountable, and the uncertainty of their intentions cast a long shadow over her. With each passing moment, the weight of not knowing pressed heavier upon her, isolating her further in her plight. Confronted with the complexity of her situation, Lila felt ensnared by the very story she was living. The layers of interest in her, the unknown motives of Mr. Nice Shirt, and the involvement of the police wove a narrative she couldn't escape. This web of intrigue and mystery held her tight, a reality from which there seemed no exit, trapping her in a life more complicated than she ever imagined. The deeper Lila delved into her situation, the more she felt caught in an intricate mystery. The fact that both the police and influential figures were involved in her search led her to wonder about her place in this complex puzzle. It seemed like her life was part of a story she hadn't started, one filled with twists and turns at every corner, making her question her own relevance in the grand scheme of things. The realization that she was merely a pawn in a game much larger and more complex than she could comprehend was unsettling for Lila. The thought that unseen forces were dictating her fate, manipulating events around her without her knowledge, was both frightening and infuriating. She felt small and powerless, caught in the currents of a narrative controlled by others. No longer could Lila bear the weight of anonymity and fear. The decision to step out of the shadows and confront the forces seeking her was born out of a mixture of desperation and courage. She understood the risks of revealing herself, but the endless hiding and the constant looking over her shoulder had taken their toll. It was time to face whatever awaited her in the light. The prospect of what lay ahead filled Lila with dread. The known threats, the chase, and the close calls were terrifying enough, but it was the unknown that haunted her the most. What did these people want from her? Why was her existence so significant to them? These questions tormented her, yet the resolve to find answers pushed her forward, despite the fear that clung to her every step. With a newfound determination, Lila decided it was time to confront her situation. Head on. She could no longer live in the shadows, dictated by the whims of those who sought her. It was time to demand answers, to stand firm in the face of the unknown. This bold step was not just about uncovering the truth. It was about reclaiming her life and dictating her own story, regardless of what she might find. In the dim light of their usual hideout, Lila shared her bold decision to surrender herself to the authorities. She explained her hope that any potential reward could benefit her street family, the people who had become her lifeline. The air was thick with emotion as her words sank in, reflecting the depth of her sacrifice for those she considered her true family. With determination in her eyes, Lila asked her friends to help her turn herself in. She placed her future in their hands, trusting them to negotiate her surrender with care. This moment was a testament to their unbreakable bond, a promise sealed with mutual respect and unwavering support, as they agreed to stand by her through the uncertain times ahead. The scene at the police station was tense, yet surreal. As Lila stepped forward, the atmosphere shifted from apprehension to one of palpable relief. The officer's urgent actions hinted at the importance of her identity, a significance previously unknown to her. This unexpected reaction stirred a mix of emotions within Lila as she realized the magnitude of the moment she had been propelled into. The sight of sleek, high-end vehicles awaiting her exit from the station was startling. This unexpected turn of events signaled the start of a new chapter in her life, one that seemed worlds apart from her experiences on the street. The polished exteriors and tinted windows hinted at a life of privilege and secrecy, a stark contrast to the world Lila had known. As Lila approached the open doors of the vehicles, her heart raced with anticipation and apprehension. She stood on the cusp of a revelation, poised to meet the individuals whose lives were intricately connected to hers. This moment was the bridge to her past, and potentially the key to her future, a threshold she crossed with a mixture of fear and courage, ready to face whatever truths lay beyond. As Lila stepped towards the gathering, the sight of Mr. Nice Shirt among the affluent figures filled her with a complex mix of fear and resolve. Their eyes met, and at that moment, the distance between their worlds seemed to collapse. Lila, with a steadiness in her voice, prepared to confront the mystery that had led her to this pivotal moment. Lila wasted no time on pleasantries, her voice firm as she demanded clarity. She sought to understand the whirlwind of events that had turned her life upside down. Her questions hung in the air, a bold challenge to the veiled motives of those who had pursued her so relentlessly. This was her moment to unravel the threads of her past. Mr. Nice Shirt moved forward, his presence suddenly casting a new light on Lila's turmoil. As he began to speak, the pieces of the puzzle started to align, revealing his unexpected role in the narrative of her life. His connection to Lila, once shrouded in mystery, began to crystallize, marking the end of her flight and the beginning of understanding. An older couple stepped forward, their faces etched with a myriad of emotions that seemed to mirror Lila's own confusion and anticipation. Their approach was slow, almost hesitant, as if they were bridging a gap that had widened over the years. The air was charged with a silent acknowledgement of their significant role in the revelations that were about to unfold. Standing before the couple, Lila felt the weight of her journey culminate in this moment. She braced herself, ready to confront the truths that had eluded her for so long. The anticipation of understanding her own story, pieced together from the fragments of a past she had never known, filled her with a mix of dread and eagerness. She was on the brink of discovering the essence of her identity. In a moment that bridged years of separation, the older couple revealed themselves as Lila's grandparents. Their introduction was a poignant connection of Lila's fragmented past with her present. The revelation, filled with emotional weight, offered Lila a sense of belonging she had long craved, bridging the chasm that had separated her from her origins. With gentle voices, her grandparents unfolded the story of Lila's mother, shedding light on the series of events that had led to Lila's disappearance. They spoke of struggles and choices, painting a picture of a life that Lila had been unknowingly part of. This narrative filled in gaps Lila hadn't known existed, linking her present to a past marred by complexities and challenges. The story of their relentless search for Lila emerged, a testament to their unwavering love and the hope that had sustained them through years of uncertainty. Their tale was one of loss, but also of the indomitable spirit of hope that had guided them, a beacon in their quest to reunite with the granddaughter they had never stopped loving. Lila listened intently as her grandparents described the life they had envisioned for her, a stark contrast to the reality she had known. They spoke of dreams and opportunities, of love and security, painting a vivid picture of what might have been. This glimpse into a different world, one filled with possibilities, was both heartwarming and heart-wrenching for Lila. Confronted with the reality of her origins, Lila found herself at a crossroads of emotion. The revelation of her family, hidden from her by the twists of fate, prompted a deep introspection. She wrestled with feelings of joy, confusion, and a sense of loss for the years gone by. Accepting her past and the family she had just discovered was a journey that Lila realized was just beginning. Embracing her grandparents, Lila stepped into a new chapter, one brimming with the promise of love and untold opportunities. This acceptance marked the beginning of her transformation, a journey from the shadows of uncertainty to the warmth of family bonds. Together, they embarked on a path towards a future Lila had only dared to dream of, a journey home in the truest sense. Transitioning into a life of comfort, Lila faced the complexities of integrating into a family she was just beginning to know. Each day brought new challenges and discoveries, navigating the nuances of relationships built overnight. Despite the opulence surrounding her, Lila remained grounded, her past experiences a constant reminder of the resilience that had brought her to this point. With the support of her newfound family, Lila began to explore the vast possibilities her new life offered. She embraced each day with an open heart, marveling at the stability and happiness that now seemed within reach. The promise of tomorrow held a new significance, each moment a step towards the future she and her grandparents envisioned together. The journey of healing was mutual for Lila and her grandparents. Together they navigated the delicate process of mending the emotional rifts time had created. Shared stories, laughter, and sometimes tears became their therapy, weaving a stronger fabric of family unity with each passing day. This shared path of healing underscored the strength of their bond, forged through adversity and celebrated in reunion. Facing the future, Lila and her grandparents built a new foundation of trust and love, promising to eclipse the shadows of their past. Their bond, strengthened by the trials they overcame, was a testament to their commitment to each other. As they looked ahead, the possibilities seemed endless, a horizon brightened by the light of their shared journey. The life Lila's grandparents offered was a stark contrast to her previous existence. It was a gift of opportunity, enveloping her in a world she had never imagined. This new beginning was not just about material comfort, but the chance to pursue dreams once deemed unreachable, a tangible expression of their love and belief in her potential. As Lila adjusted to her new life, she gradually found her place within the intricate tapestry of her family and the broader community. Each interaction, each new experience, helped her carve out a niche where she felt valued and accepted. This journey of discovery was not without its challenges, but it was rich with the rewards of belonging and purpose. Surrounded by the unwavering support and care of her family, Lila experienced the transformative power of love. This newfound sense of security and acceptance fueled her growth, teaching her the strength found in vulnerability and the beauty of being part of something larger than herself. Love, she learned, was the strongest foundation for rebuilding a life. With each passing day, Lila grew more comfortable in her skin, embracing the identity that had once felt so elusive. The journey of self-discovery, supported by her family's love, helped bridge the gap between her past and her present. This acceptance was a silent acknowledgement of her resilience, a celebration of the person she had become and the future she was building. Stepping into a future filled with hope, Lila looked forward with gratitude for the love and opportunities that now defined her life. This new chapter was not just a departure from her past hardships, but a testament to her strength and the unwavering support of her family. With each day, she embraced the promise of a brighter future, a life reimagined and fully realized.